Hey everybody, Warner here. So today I'm going to show you some tips and tricks and some things that you can use in Google Docs. Many people ask for examples of ways that you could use some of the features built into Google Workspace tools. So last week we were looking at Google Sheets. This week we can take a look at some stuff in Google Docs. And they've actually been adding a lot to Google Docs. And in some cases, kind of changing the idea of what a text document is or what a Google Doc would be. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get into that in a little bit. All right, so here I am in a Google Doc that I might use for class, right? It is pretty standard. So I'm going to go down here. And let's say I want to, right, they're reading the source, and let's say I want to insert a table for a note guide. Okay, let's say we want to have like quotes. We can have reactions or analysis. Your reaction. And let's say I want them to kind of really make sure they see this. So I'm sure you know this already, but you can go in and change the color of a text box, right? But notice, let's say we want to have them pull out like this quote here. Let's copy that, drop that there. Maybe they're analyzing this quote here, that this is specific and important. So that is there. Boop. All right. So notice though, right? So once we start filling out this text box, it looks a little cramped, right? So I don't really know. Let's put this onto its own page. All right, so I hit Control Enter, or you can hit Insert Page Break right here. And let's say I want everything here, so I'm going to select all of this to be in landscape. So to do that, I'm going to go to File, Page Setup, Selected Content is going to be landscape. So now the document, let's get rid of this extra page in here. So now the document is in portrait, but then the note guide is in landscape. All right, that gives us a little bit more room to work. But notice, right, it still goes down to the second page. The table still goes down to the second page. And, I don't want the kids to get lost and forget, what was this column for? What was this column for? They're going to have to scroll up. That could be annoying. So look, I'm going to select the header row. And I'm going to hit this little drop-down button right here. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to hit right-click on the header row. And there's a new option right here that says Pin Header Row. And when I pin the header row, if I scroll down to the second page of the table, whoop, it automatically added the header row down there. And notice it picks up where it left off down here, but that way they don't get lost, right? That way that's still right there. Okay, that's a new feature that could help if you're working in longer documents like this. Also, if you're working in longer documents like this, you might want to start adding some things to help them be able to navigate it a little bit more easily. There is the outline option, but you can also, which works, it's kind of hit or miss, but you can also go down here. I've selected this section. Let's say that I want them to easily be able to access the note guide. I'm going to insert a bookmark. Now that bookmark, you see the little blue icon right here. That bookmark now has a link to it, right? So I can copy the link, and I can go up here and say directions. Use the note guide to help organize thoughts. Notice it's also predicting what I'm typing. You just hit Tab to let it include that prediction as you're typing. It does it in comments too. It saves me a whole heck of a lot of time when I'm grading stuff in, in Google Classroom. So use the note guide to help organize your thoughts on this primary source. And then remember, I copied the link to the note, that bookmark. I'm going to add that just as a regular hyperlink. And when my students go in and click this link, boop, it's going to drop them right down to where the bookmark is, right, without having to scroll all the way down here and find it. All right. So I know Dr. Kendrick, with really long text Word documents or Google Docs, it can become unwieldy. I know that Dr. Kendrick and I know Ms. Scott is doing some really good examples of how you can use this to quickly get to specific sections in any Google Doc that you're working on. You could also, if I wanted to, drop that link into that chat in a meeting or something. It's a link. So if I click that link to that specific section, if I share that out, it's just going to open the Google Doc to that part of the website, right? Or to that part of the document. Because again, I'm down here on page 4 instead of starting at page 1. All right, so that's bookmarks. There are some other kind of neat formatting things that you can do if you've never messed around with these. So you can insert new here. We can add watermarks to stuff. So maybe you're on the admin team or you're sending something out to parents and you want to kind of represent your grade level team. You can add any image in as a watermark and it'll just kind of appear behind the text. And you can also kind of go in and change the formatting and your image options as well to recolor and change that just like you would any image options. And you can also drag it to any part of the, once you select it, there you go. You can also treat it like any other image, but it's just going to stay back there behind everything. And it's going to be on every page. And you can drag it to the corner or wherever else you want your watermark to show up. Okay, and notice that it is going to do the same thing on all the other pages. So we got watermarks, we got formatting. Let's say my kids are writing an essay on this though, right? I don't know about you, but I, in social studies, have had a lot of years of difficulty trying to help students appropriately cite sources. And when I was writing essays of my own, being able to manage my bibliography and resources pages in essays and other things was a pain in the butt. That is now built into Google Docs. So if I go to Tools, Citations, notice we have got a citation source. Okay, so say I want to use this website as a source. I'm going to go over here and grab the hyperlink, add a citation source. This was a website. Paste the link, search, and Google Search is going to do what Google Search does, and is going to find the relevant information and pull it out here. I'm going to add the citation source right to the website. And say we are going down here and I want to make sure now that this is in, and you can add as many citation sources as you want. Now that that is in there, if I just go here and I click this little cite button right here, it's going to automatically insert a text citation, a parenthetical citation. It takes so long to teach kids how to do, but if you teach them how to use this tool, yeah, it's important that they learn how to do it, but this is going to save time and help ensure that they actually do this. And you can change, say you want to use MLA. Fine, use MLA. That's cited in the MLA format. Also now, if you go down to the bottom, you see this big blue Insert Works Cited page. If you do that, notice now it included all the links that you have in your citation sources in a appropriately formatted citation. I used to use BibMe all the time to do this when I was in college. This would have saved me so much time. Here it is in APA. That easy. All right. And one of the things that I've used when I have my kids write essays, say it's a DBQ essay, something where I have picked the sources for them, but I just want them to write kind of based on the information I provided. When you make a copy of this Google Doc with these citations loaded in, it preserves the citations. So you just teach them to start using this tool, and you can do it that way and always make sure that they're using appropriate citation formats without having to become Purdue OWL masters. So that is super cool. Maybe I'm just nerding out about citations. It's a social studies thing, but I think it's super cool. The last I'm going to show you is something that is very new. And this is what I was talking about with them starting to kind of seemingly change the idea of what a document even necessarily is, right? So here again in this scenario, I'm asking kids to take notes on a Google Doc, maybe based on research that they have, that they're doing, right? That they're conducting on here. And I'm not planning on printing this document. Most of the Google Docs I make nowadays are not things that are going to be sent out and need to be in this 8x11 box. And yet, that's just how word processors are made, right? Well, a few weeks ago, I noticed that Google kind of changed that. Take a look here. Pageless. Google so Google Docs now can be pageless. So just like this animation shows, you can kind of change the background color to anything you want. So let's leave it white though. And when I hit OK here, you're going to notice that the borders that were used around it have gone away. And it's just text. And it's my headers. I can go to Tools, and I can change, if I don't really like the way this looks for whatever reason, I can go ahead and, actually let's go to View, Text Width, and you can make it narrower or wider. Notice with the narrow, it kind of mess with my table here a little bit. If you kind of show your rulers, you can, just like you would normally kind of format this stuff, you can change the formatting or the way where it shows up, and you can drag these to change their sizes. All right, but why is this any different, or why might this be better than a regular page Google Doc, other than just doing something that's new and weird looking? Well, again, let's say a kid's doing research. Those Chromebook screens are small, right? And it's hard. I don't know if you've ever seen a kid try and do this, right, and work side by side in a regular Google Doc, but look at this pageless one. Okay, if I go and if I make my make it wide, notice here where this is just kind of text, right? That you can have the kids, as they're researching, as they're working on stuff, this will change shape. Okay, so notice that it is wider here, but when I make it into a window, it does its best, it's not perfect, but it does its best to change the width, like and reflow the whole document to try and keep the text visible no matter how narrow the document is. Okay, so this could help them organize. And tables still are kind of weird. You're gonna have to scroll with it and move around. But with most of the text, if they're just kind of writing something here based on looking at something on this side, they'll be able to better see and access everything, and it'll better fit the screen that they have it on. So that's kind of my main idea on why you might want to use this. And if you have some other ideas or other examples, or if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions about anything that I had in this video on Google Docs, please go ahead and complete the pluses and deltas form at the bottom, and then add any comments or additional information in that text box down there in the form. Thank you so much for your feedback, and I look forward to your comments. All right, bye-bye.